continue that way. Okay, good afternoon. Welcome to the Wednesday afternoon meeting. Public Works, I see you got a list. We'll just let you get started.
Good afternoon, Commissioners, public. Savannah Clement with Public Services. We are actually starting off our meeting today with an executive session. We will have the PA's office on the line, and it is specific to property acquisition. And I believe we will need 15 minutes.
Okay,
For those attending from the public, and then we will just go ahead and start off with our agenda items here. So no more executive sessions after that. Thank
okay,
you.
executive session, property acquisition, 15 minutes.
I felt comfortable driving my car and not my truck today.
The board is extending the executive session for a period of 5 minutes until 1:54 p.m. The board is extending the executive session for a period of 5 minutes until 1:59 p.m.
executive session, no decisions rendered. Savannah, I'll just turn it over to you.
Okay, thank you. Sorry for the amount of time that took. But I would like to bring up kind of two guests here. They are from Cowlitz Game and Anglers. I wanted to invite them and have them be able to be available for questions from the board. Earlier this week, we had discussed extending our lease with Cowlitz Game and Anglers for an additional year. And suggested, and I thought it was a good idea to come have them here to maybe talk about some of the maybe issues that have been there or good things that have taken place there. Did you want them to come up to the podium, or did you want to just kind of discuss what we would consider status quo moving forward for the next year if we extended that agreement? Okay. So we met with the Cowlitz Game and Anglers and their team last week and talked about maybe moving forward in this direction. Our team really wanted to continue a partnership to better understand the operations at the gun range, provide some additional support for a better customer experience there. We talked a lot about, how could we do online reservations, which wasn't particularly supported. Just because it may not work out to the best, but we talked about special events, getting their volunteers increased. We did recognize that us as a staff between the Parks Department and the Sheriff's Office would need volunteers to assist in running the gun range. There's a lot of school events that we just weren't privy to because we don't have access, nor did we request previous access to their schedule. And so this next year, we anticipate it be an opportunity for us to really get involved and entrenched in what's going on at the gun range, the attendance, the volunteers, and see how we could help out. And so their president, Steve Otto, is here, and their vice president, Jason Hamers, is here. And so they're, in a sense, representing the board. And I do feel like, without speaking for them, they are supportive in this one-year agreement. So if they want to do a head nod, yes or no, yes, I'm seeing, in moving forward. So that's kind of where we're at. So
I like the idea of the extension of the 1 year, just so that we can get a better understanding of what is going on, and the operations of the gun range, so that, because ultimately all of us want it to be a success, and I think that the 1 year extension is a step in that direction.
Yeah, I would agree with that too.
okay.
I support it.
Okay, great. So I did make sure to try to ask the Sheriff's Office and legal to be on the line, although I'm not sure that they are available for as panelists, and that's okay. But I did have them hopefully there as a backup if they were able, if there was any other questions as far as that goes. Any other questions or anything else?
Have you guys, as the county department, you guys have already discussed, game planned what it's going to look like as far as your integration into it?
Well, so we have definitely discussed, we wanted to make sure that we were able to discuss that with the Cowlitz Game and Anglers first, which just occurred last week. Wanted some direction from the board. And so what we can do is provide a game plan, maybe a rough narrative or whatever, next Wednesday, have a better, clearer understanding with them, with us, and with the Board of County Commissioners on what our direction is moving forward. Just high level, we will be attending their board meetings once a month, which I think we've never done before. We're actually going to do a shift up there. I say we because it will be a team effort. And also going up there on a Sunday, understanding how kind of they do their paperwork, and then working a shift up there on a weekend to really get a better understanding of operations, how it works up there. That's so far our game plan.
Okay. I do see David from our office. Did you have anything you want to add? Go ahead.
And Brand's on.
I don't have anything. I heard Savannah make a comment. She gave me a call earlier, so I jumped on. So it sounds like we're doing the 1 year extension.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, I think I drafted a form that Savannah can use for that. And then if we're doing the 1 year extension, I guess the only comment I would add is that so we're extending the 2019 lease, which was a 5-year lease. It expires at the end of December 2025. The way that it was done originally, I wasn't involved in the drafting of that lease. They leased the entire premises to CG&A, but I think the the parties had always intended that the law enforcement range would remain with the sheriff's office. So we subleased that from CG&A to the sheriff. So we will also be needing to do that aspect of it to amend the sublease to be another a year as well. I'm assuming CG&A won't have an issue with that since I think that's always been the understanding of the parties that the sheriff's office gets to use their law enforcement range. So there will be two items of paperwork about this, the lease extension for a year, and then we're going to need to do that sublease as well. So that's my only comment, I guess.
Okay, thank you. Okay,
Assuming Brad he'd raise his hand if he had something. I think he's good.
I did just touch base with them earlier today, so.
Okay, good.
Okay. All right, great.
So anything else? We're done. We're good with that.
With,
Yeah,
Jason, if you
Yeah,
don't mind,
come on up.
just because there's members of the public and there's a microphone here. There's a green, push the button and the green light.
All right, my only question about this is extending this a year is great. We really like that, but issuing range passes, we issue those a year per the date you buy them. So somebody who buys a pass in January, March, whatever, that's usually good for 1 year. So if we're going to go back to having this discussion again next year, how are we going to deal with these passes? Do you guys have a suggestion, or you guys going to say that, okay, we'll honor those passes throughout that year, that pass, or?
Do you mind if I comment on that? I don't want to answer for the board, but as a staff, our idea and our original kind of proposal we brought forward was honoring the annual passes because as a county parks agency, of course, I can't make any promises of what the next 2 years will look like, but the annual passes to us are a nominal change. We would like to continue to honor those as they're sold to the community. So that would be our first recommendation and moving forward. So if it's in 2027, that we're selling these, or they expire in 2027, I'm sorry, because they're not January 1 to December 31. They are, as you buy them, it's good for a year. So we would continue to honor those to the community as they purchase them.
All right, thank you. That's all I
Hopefully.
had.
Okay.
Okay. All right, thank you. And thank you for coming on such short notice. I appreciate that. I'll go ahead and move forward into the common space custodial. That's kind of a weird name. Do you want to come up here, Sean, not to call you out? So we have not put in the janitorial costs in our budget moving forward for facilities. And what we would like to ask the board for direction on is the ability to, at least for the first quarter of next year, having no janitorial or custodial means that we will have to try and keep up weaving facilities with all of the common space cleaning. And so that's any public area, lobby, this room, to try to keep up on the cleaning of those. And so what we would like to do for the first quarter of next year is look at hiring temporary help. And so what that would look like, and we commonly call it, express employment, or EO is what we would use to hire probably, I think we were looking at 2.5, so 2 full-time and a half-time, or a combination of something of that sort. And then also potentially working with some volunteer groups who need community service hours. So we're looking at that option as well to supplement some of these common space cleaning. And what that looks like is courtrooms at the Hall of Justice, the lobby at the Hall of Justice, public restrooms at the hall, and admin and other areas. We did do a rough cost on this without having any current contracts in place with these agencies for these individuals. We would be spending substantially less than what we would do if we had full-time employees of Cowlitz County or a contract. And so why we say first quarter is we'd like to first get them onboarded, take a look at quality of work, cost, and then come back to the board with, hey, here's how it's going. It's going great, or it's going terrible, and we'd like to change gears. And so that's the direction we're looking for today, is if the board would be acceptable to, at least for the first 3 months of next year, allowing us to hire a couple temporary help employees to assist in these common space cleanings.
What volunteer groups have you guys, are you thinking about contacting?
Thinking about Faithful Servants is one that's been recommended to us. And then also speaking to Commissioner Badal only briefly, looking to maybe drug court folks who may need community service or job skill training, something of that nature. We used to have AmeriCorps here in our community. They're no longer, but that was a great program for volunteers. So something maybe like that, if we could partner with.
So the people working, doing janitorial for Hall of Justice or this building, anybody, do they need special background checks or anything in order to be in the building?
They do for what is called CJIS certification. So that's mainly at the Hall of Justice. They have to pass certain levels of background checks that require physical fingerprinting, approval by the sheriff, and other levels of clearance. This building, if it's public area only, I'd have to look into that and speak with the records manager, Julie Harris. But I don't believe they need CJIS certification to be in common areas here.
So if there are people who are doing community service type work, they're obviously going to need to be supervised full-time
Right.
while they're in the building.
Yeah, we would have to arrange that with either the volunteer agency or our staff. I mean, if it comes down to it. So I'm asking, would the board be interested in approving at least the first quarter? And I can bring the numbers back to you next week, have a really clear understanding, but I didn't want to go, bring all of that here if you weren't interested.
I'm good with it.
Okay,
As long as the
Right.
background thing works out.
sure.
I don't know, I'm not sure how that would fly with people in drug court, what that would look like, but if we can make it happen, yeah, I think it's a good idea.
Okay.
I guess I'm reluctant under our current budget restraints to authorize any additional spending at this moment. But I guess I'd be willing to look at it.
Did you have comments?
Yeah, so talking with Kathy earlier this week, it looks like the contract that we had in place previously, the value for that was never removed from the facilities budget. So we would be reducing that budget and there still would be some savings there. The total value would be unknown until we figure out how much temporary employee versus volunteer time.
Okay.
So I'm seeing some head nods. We'll bring back some hard numbers next week. Move forward. Okay. Right. We now have the facilities general fund contribution, also known as the 5-year plan. So we're going off of continuation kind of yesterday's meeting that this was discussed again. And I know we had hoped to bring back some actual numbers for the board to review. And I am passing the torch to Mr. Rowe.
So we have 2 pages in front of you. You feel free to tear them apart. Just want to make sure you've got a copy of each. In the top left corner, we have an original 2026 and then a revised 26 submission based upon the general fund transfer into facilities. We made a assumption that the general fund is going to be needing those dollars for quite some time until the board makes a decision to start funding that with general fund dollars again. So we have gone through and removed or delayed quite a few items. Specifically going through this list of the original 2026, what we submitted for the 5-year plan versus the revised one. It's going to be our roofs for both jail, juvenile. We've moved both of those to 2030. The the museum parking lot, we've removed. We're still looking at, tidying up the trees and bushes, but not doing asphalt and striping at that location. The multi-year tenant improvement, the CTIP committee, we've removed all those except one for the 2026 year, specifically the jail medical facility, as there may be some possibility of revenues being generated from that. We did keep on 17A. Items rolled from 2025 and 26 due to construction. That's going to be the carpet replacement in many of the offices at the Hall of Justice. The juvenile fire panel, we've moved to 2030. We have kept the fire panel at the admin building and annex, as well as the jail in the future years. The the sheriff's evidence building storage has been removed. The exterior facade going down line 28, we are maintaining that. I think we're gonna have a little bit of an update on that here this afternoon. It's still a work in progress. Line 29, we've kept in there for HVAC control replacement, getting away from the Siemens system to control the HVAC, the age system. That's a significant cost. We've moved both the HVACs for juvenile to the 2030, as well as removed HHS and reconsider that as we move forward. We are looking to finish the HOJ HVAC project. Now, we have moved a lot of these items to 2030. If we are looking to refurbish building in whole, we maybe recommend looking at a debt option with a 20-year loan or something of that nature that may make that payment a little bit easier. Still funding that out of this, but like we did at the morgue, doing a long-term debt payment where we can stretch that out. So that's why they've been moved, so we can make decisions and talk with the board on some of these items and see where they want to look at.
This saves $1 million to general fund each year.
Each year, yes, sir.
Yeah.
I think the intent of this fund moving forward, in 20 years, we're going to have the same roofs to replace, the same parking lots to restripe. I'd love to expand that Hall of Justice parking lot, but if it's not in the cards, it's not in the cards.
Sean, how did this fund get to the point where it's got the surplus that it's got?
Yeah, so this fund is mainly funded one half through the real estate excise tax. That's the, I think, 0.25% on real estate when it sells. So historically, a lot of the maintenance items up to a certain value were allowable here, and then everything after that needed to be done on capital projects. Recently, that did change, which allowed us to use all these dollars for maintenance items. So that's why we maintained building maintenance items in here. I kind of skipped over 1 through 9, but we could talk about that here in a bit. When the county recognized the deferred maintenance of a lot of its buildings, they then funded this with general fund dollars to get a lot of these projects accomplished. Usually when we are in a budget crisis, building maintenance, or we defer that longer out as we can. So I did skip over 1 through 9, so I'm just gonna go back through that really fast. We've taken off the landscape here. We're working with the jail crew to do our landscape. We've really reduced our HVAC support and need there. Most of that's coming from the Hall of Justice. We're weaning off our engineering support and DDC and BAS support. That's gonna be the connections of the new systems coming together and maintaining the large, small projects and an emergency fund so that when we do have a flooding event or some other item in a building, we have funds to respond to those.
How long did it take to acquire that surplus?
I would estimate about 9 years. And it's a lot of planning in there too. We have been looking at these projects for some time and they are needed.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I guess I'm gonna say that the reason that a lot of these are in the situation they're in is because this can has been kicked down the road, and I'm really reluctant to be somebody who's going to kick the can further down the road. Somewhere somebody has to bite the bullet and face up to the costs and deal with the situation and stop kicking the can down the road. And I don't know, I understand that we don't have a money tree in the backyard. But at the same time, turns my stomach at the thought that I would sit here and cast a vote to move this down the road to somebody else's problem just so I don't have to face the music. I put my hand up and said I would run for this position and deal with the problems, not kick the can down the road. So,
Just to offer a little bit, point of clarification, maybe there's a way, Some of these are kicking the can down the road, some of the ones we just went over. Some of them are new capital assets. So, we could take direction from the board to maybe, look at keeping in some of the deferred maintenance items, like the roofs that need, and keeping those in. So it wouldn't be the full, maybe $1 million, maybe it's half of that. Is that something that you would want us to do?
Or as we even discussed previously, the large deferred maintenance item is juvenile.
Mhm.
That's quite a bit of roof dollars there and quite a bit of HVAC dollars there. Would you want us to look at starting a debt offering on that to start to fund that project instead of through the general fund? Look at the long-term payments on that and keep that moving forward.
Mm.
The jail roof will keep evaluating and come back with recommendations on that with the remaining life of that facility and not defer it, but do it when it's ready.
I don't want to say we've done a good job. The facilities team has caught up a lot on that deferred maintenance from that fund that we've been able to capitalize on. So as far as deferred maintenance goes, what Sean just mentioned with juvenile roof and parts of jail roof, I would say, he'll correct me if I'm wrong, that the majority of that has been caught up on, which is great. It's just these large looming, juvenile roof is large and looming. That is the biggest probably deferred maintenance item on here.
Yeah, I'd probably go back and say, we've done a large effort to get our buildings back in
Yes.
shape. HOJ annex this building, a new coroner's building. That was before our time.
HVAC at the hall.
Yeah,
huge.
there's been a lot of improvements. We're still trying to strive for those improvements. We just may be striving for those improvements with the resources available to us.
With the juvenile facility and our population, does it state that we have to have a facility in our county or that we have to have access and are working with someone with a facility?
My understanding is we're over 50,000, we have to have a facility.
In our county,
Yeah.
yes. I would almost think that for this price, you could build a new roof over the top of that roof.
We
just-
talked about that.
I hear you.
And just, hell, you can make that a sun deck underneath there for all I care, but.
And this is a good segue into something I want to bring up, and that is that since we're talking about roofs, we just had this roof replaced and we've got ceiling tiles falling, soaking wet from leaks.
Mhm.
One of the things I would like to see us start implementing is contract evaluations with these vendors that we use, and not say because we've used these people before in the past, we're going to use them again, because I'm pretty sure, did we use the same company for this roof that we did in the annex?
Yes, and just to clarify again, we go with low bid per law, so it's not based upon if we've used them or not. There's no category of review for that. So it truly is low bid.
And we can't say that they're not qualified because they've failed in previous
We-
projects?
We talked about that just yesterday. We met as a group about the same topic and how we can prevent that moving forward, which the answer kind of we got was, well, that's what we bill in warranty work. So it's all covered under their warranty through them and the manufacturer. We could go down the route of tracking. You may have a little bit more knowledge on that than I do.
Yeah, so there's a way forward. It would be a long and difficult path, but we can start that, and it would be a lot of tracking, and we'll probably need some help from legal on that side.
Mhm. And just again, I'm sorry, but we do daily reporting on, so we have a project coordinator who manages the project, and they do daily inspection reports. So they're out there daily with this crew. Unfortunately, with the roof designs that we have and the product that we use, which is what's standard, we just have this happen sometimes, but it is interesting that it's twice in a row with the same vendor.
So is it because we're government, are we like bound to the lowest bid on every contract that we have for anything that we do, cleaning, whatever the case is?
So Susan Eugenius, I'll jump in a little bit. So yes and no. So there are personal services which are different than public works. So the cleaning is a personal service and they go out for RFPs, and cost can be part of the consideration and qualifications as the other. Public works projects, which is anything where you're constructing anything, roof replacement, anything like that. And we have gone down the route on Public Works, as in road construction projects, working with the attorneys about what can we do with a bad contractor that we never want to have again. So we've had those discussions, and it's a long and tedious route, as Sean was saying, and you can only do it for, what they basically said was 3 to 5 years. Can you only say, I won't use this contractor again for 3 to 5 years, was what I was told the last time we had this discussion with the attorneys, and that was about 5 years ago. And there's a whole paperwork process that you have to go through to be able to do this. So that is what I'll say. It's unfortunate, but that is what I have been told by the attorneys. You got to go to the lowest responsive bidder because that's an RCW. You've got that little wiggle room when it's a personal service versus somebody constructing something, and all kinds of requirements to get them to a point where you don't have to take Joe Blow. What did I say the one time? Joe Blow Construction Company to do your job because they're the low bidder. They really have to be debarred by the state, or you have to have a big and you have to have you have to then rank every contractor that you use so that it's consistently done on every construction project that you do. So you have this whole system, was what they were telling me the last time we had this discussion.
So when we go out for bid on a project and we get a lowest bidder, do we have the right to go back to their previous projects, even in another county, and say, what kind of experience do you have? And if all your roofs leaked that they fixed, we can say they're not a qualified bidder, or we're just bound because they're the lowest bidder?
We're bound because the lowest bidder, unless the state has debarred them from work. At that point, your only other option is to reject all bidders and go back out to bid, but you have to substantially change your specifications in some way. That is the unfortunate nature of the beast.
And Savannah, you said that that's possible because they warranty their work?
So what we do when we write up the scopes is we put in those added warranty features, not only of the product, but also by the person installing. So in this case, the roofing company. So they have a 2-year labor work warranty. Plus we have I think it's 20-year product warranty on all of our roofing projects. So it's all warranty work that they are doing right now, obviously, because they just installed the roof this summer. We have been able to utilize the design bid build aspect, which is what Millig is doing for us, where we do not have to go with the low bid because it is not our project. We're contracted with the state and Millig. So we've been seeing really great quality work. And we're pretty happy with it thus far, because you don't just have to go low bid. So that is one way we've been able to kind of avoid that with a large project like the Hall of Justice.
No, I think, and I think the state is proponent of the, that way too. 'Cause
They
I
are,
know the Expo Center, the PD, they're doing that.
Yes,
PFD.
they are. Yes.
Yeah.
And a lot of state agencies or local government, I think, are going to start going that route because of what we just talked about and the constraints. So.
So the state's on board with it, but they have to change the rules for us.
Well,
Is that what I'm
the state
understanding?
allows you to go this route if you want to go this route. And it's probably not good for every project,
No.
but it does work for some projects, and it seems to be a positive thing.
Like, so for more, like, I would call the Hall of Justice a complex project. The nature and the complexity of it, I will leave the PFD Expo Conference Center one is as well. There's just a lot of levels, there's a lot going on. So in projects like those, roofs, may not be just, maybe the juvenile, that is a very complex roof. It requires a lot of engineering, could be a potential route we go on that project. And so we could start looking at that more. And we could also maybe just issue some correspondence, not on behalf of the board necessarily, but on behalf of our team to the vendor and letting them know that we're not satisfied thus far, if that would be a direction you guys would support. From us, not from the board. But.
Yeah, because I would be hard pressed to have them go do the juvenile roof right now.
Yeah.
given the, you know,
Mhm.
quality of the product that we've received so far, both times that they've done our roofs.
Okay. My sheet. Okay,
So-
any, oh,
Did you get what you needed from this?
from the 5-year plan?
I don't know.
So let's ask, we'll ask for some direction. Would you like us to alter this plan to continue on deferred maintenance, which again, it would be the juvenile roof? That would be deferred maintenance. Capital asset items would be the CIP projects, the sheriff's office evidence building. Those would be like new additions, improvements to capital assets.
Well, if we have to have that building, I think it's gonna be incumbent upon the three of us to figure out what we're gonna do with it and how it's gonna be better utilized in the future. If it's something that we have to have. And if that is the case, then I'm for doing what we need to do to keep it to where it's usable. But we gotta come up with something that it's gonna be used for. I just don't know, it's not being utilized, under the current circumstances.
Do you want us to, because we're looking at 1-year budget cycles, do you want us to kind of go along par with what was suggested yesterday and maybe continue the 0 shift for next year and look at 2027, which we could then incorporate that deferred maintenance into? It'd be a 1-year essentially buy, you know?
Yeah, well, we received some, I don't know if, I see you had a chance to read it.
Yeah.
Some information on, we really can't go to a 1-year budget. We basically have to pull out some pie in the sky numbers and make it balance. Even if it's
It's not-
nonsense numbers, and then adjust them as we go down the road, which I've never heard of such a thing, but I guess that's government.
I think that, there's some very restrictive language on being able to use those reserve funds, also, that I think that we need to talk about. I didn't bring a copy of that in here with me, but, based on my discussion with the financial side, I don't think you can use any of those reserve funds to put it into your biannual budget. Those are for things that are unknown in the budget cycle.
Yeah,
So
I believe that that's correct. So basically you just inflate your revenue numbers to things that just whatever you want to say, so it balances, even though you know it isn't going to happen. It's the goofiest thing I've ever
Here
seen.
in the first place. I mean, isn't that why?
Well, that's why we're here in the first place,
Yeah.
but it sounds like that's anyway. So what I'm saying is I don't think we can just do a 1-year budget. To
right,
me, it makes sense, but I don't think we can. So we can do a 2-year budget and we'll give them their phony numbers to make that work. But then in 2026, I think we still start working because we know that those revenues aren't going to come in and we have to figure that out.
Would it be appropriate to pause on the $1 million transfer from general fund to facilities and evaluate? Because I think there's still a lot of conversations about juvenile too. I mean,
Yeah.
pause on that.
That probably makes sense. Just
Okay.
leave it how you had it, and then in 26, we'll start looking at what we have there. Because we haven't taken that out of what the numbers we've seen, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Is that correct? This has not been,
Correct. So in 26, originally, we have debt coming in to fund our projects. If we were to not do the transfer, we would need to increase our debt issuances, and that'd probably be to levels that we would need to issue bonds for.
And did I just saw that our rating got upgraded?
I'm not sure.
I didn't see that.
I think I saw that it did.
what was that?
Our rating did get upgraded, I thought, I read.
I think Deborah did send out a thing, and I think you're correct. that
Yes.
Our
I
debt
believe that's
rating,
correct.
we do have a pretty good rating, so. I don't know, what do you guys think? I think it probably does sound easiest to just leave it there and then it becomes part of the work party for the 26, I guess.
Yeah. we need to do what we need to do to get this budget approved. And then we need to also get to work in 26 to figure out what we're gonna do, moving forward.
Would you want the projects that were in 26 originally into 27? So we can not fund for 26 and still have them on our list then? Is that what we're hearing, or we want to keep everything status quo on the original?
I would be in favor of moving what we can from 26 to 27, because at the end of 26, we get to modify our budget,
Yeah.
and make
Just so
budget
there's a little
amendments.
leeway.
Okay.
Okay.
And we could look at it then.
Yeah.
But I would not, things that need to be taken care of, I don't want to move them off past the end of 27. I want them to be still out in front of us.
Yeah.
All right, we'll get something
I
together.
think that makes sense. Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay.
I did have a request from Kathy Funk Baxter, Finance Director, and this might be a good time to bring it forward. She had indicated, and I have not been a part of this, so bear with me. She indicated there was an email correspondence sent out to the board from our assessor, letting the board know about the potential options for levies, because they haven't been certified to the state, as what I understand. And so she wanted me to bring it up in this meeting. She's not here. She may be online, to see if the board wanted her to entertain that, either of any of those options.
Well, we had discussions on all those, right?
I wouldn't know, other than made it sound like based off the emails that I wasn't on them, but she forwarded them to me. I read them really quick right as we were leaving into the back area. So it sounds like there's a couple options of banking the 1%. Like I said, bear with me. Potential levy shift, because it's still open and on the table because they weren't certified by the state in a timely manner. So those are, and there may have been a third one. Kelly, I don't know, were you on that email string? Oh. Printed it out.
It's basically taking the 1%. It's basically taking
Okay.
everything we can.
Okay.
I
And,
mean, it's basically taxing the people.
okay.
That's what you're doing.
So I'm hearing.
There's a no for me, but I'm not taxing them.
Okay.
They're not the ones that put us in this problem.
Yeah, I have questions, but they're for Kathy.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, Kathy. She thought that would be, but she wanted to make sure I brought it up in a public workshop in the event there was some discussion or questions. So thank you. And I will move on to roads weather update. We are starting to open our roads back up after this weather event. As you can see, the rains died off a little bit. Ostrander Road's open, Alpha's open. I haven't gotten word because I haven't been in the office since this meeting, but we may have Westover and Lomar opening back up as well, which is great. I don't want to get too excited because I do see there is a rain event extending into next week. And so we are going to just, prepare for that like we prepared for this week. So just to give you a heads up.
Does our, that my seatmates came in and did that emergency declaration?
Yes.
Does that cover you through next
Yes,
week?
it will be covered until I believe we close it and have a resolution in a public meeting to close the event. So
Good.
I would recommend at least keeping it open through the beginning of next week and try to see what the forecast has got going on.
Good.
Okay. Admin facade, I was hoping to have some papers in front of you to give you a summary of the findings. So if you recall, they actually were in beginning of last week doing some work in the elections area of this building to drill into from the inside to see the back side of the front facade. That wasn't confusing. And actually they had good news. It was better than what they expected back there. They do not see evidence of water intrusion, It looks pretty stable at the base and foundation, which is great news. And so we hope to have something in writing. I was hoping to have it for this meeting and we didn't yet. So when I get that, what I will do is send it to the board and Kelly so you guys can review it and not wait for a public meeting. But that could change our admin facade numbers on next year's budget to not be hopefully as high as it is right now. Give us better educated guess.
So how much of it are they inspecting? I mean, basically we had one piece fall off. How do they explain that one fell off if everything's better than they expected?
Great question. I think what they were expecting to find is loose and loose material degradation from moisture.
Sure.
And they didn't find that. It seemed like whatever repairs had been done in the past were from replacing the windows. And so what they think happened is the replacing of the windows, they found some wood debris back there, 2x4s. They think that, again, I'm only going off of what was summarized to me verbally, not an email. But what they think happened is from the wood swelling, it was left in there, which was not appropriate to keep it in there. It did cause and maintain moisture behind there, but it didn't affect the foundation. Doesn't look like it affected the entire front facade. You know, we really weren't sure what we were going to find. But it's better than what we thought. So I don't know that I answered your question because I don't have a ton of information beyond that. It doesn't
Maybe
look
we
like
should
it
put in
did.
the budget to put a permanent apron out there instead of scaffolding and 2x12s.
Yeah,
Something to protect people coming in and out of that door, just in case.
a balcony.
What do they do for mountains? They put that chain down there?
Yeah, we have one on call. So I'll have more information for you that hopefully helps answer those questions and not me and my poor explanation at that. So that is all we have. We did have one miscellaneous item if we have time, which was Commissioner Rader had brought up a road conditions question earlier on in the week. I believe that was Wolford Road in Kalama, and we did some little digging. And I don't know, do you want to talk about that? Okay. Oh, Sean's escaping.
So I spoke with both the overall road superintendent and the supervisor in that area. That steep slope off the side of Wolford has been that way since 2015. And it has been standing like that. It's an area we watch. We have various locations like that throughout the county. So at this point, where it seems to be stable, it's a rocky material, so it tends to stand up. And it's a low volume road, so we haven't done anything. They were going to check. They know at one point there were delineators out there, and if there were not, they were going to get them reinstalled if they had disappeared, because they do disappear over time, and that's a inexpensive. Here's the edge, try not to go off this maintenance cost that we do on roads like that. So they were going to be looking into that and reinstalling them if they were gone. Obviously, after this event is over, when they have a little more time.
Thank you.
Speaking of delineators, I got a call from, and I don't have it right in front of me, a call from a gentleman, lives off, you go up Shadow Mountain and it's then another road, then Ferncrest. And said there's no lines, and when it's rainy and dark, it's hard to see. And so my question was, do we have delineators we can just put out on those type of things?
If you forward me locations, it is a fairly low-cost item that we do go out and install in areas,
Okay,
yes.
I'll give you the location.
Okay.
Maybe you take a look at.
And we
'cause
can take a
He's
look.
telling me none of the, what do you call those lines on the side?
Fog lines.
Yeah, the fog lines, there's no fog lines. So it must be a fairly low used road, but
It-
I can see in the dark, if you had delineators, it would help them a little bit. I'll send you that stuff
Okay,
on that.
I will look into that.
And that's all we have, unless the board has any items for us.
I think we're good.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Great job the last couple days.
What's that?
Great job the last couple days.
Oh, thank you. I'll share that with our team.
Yeah.
Yeah. They hear it from us, but when they hear it from other people like the board,
Yeah.
it's better. Thank you.
Anything else? So public meeting, you can speak if you want. I don't think we're all good.
Yes. I would
Got it.
ask,
Okay.
what's our next step for moving forward for an IT director?
I would assume, huh? I'm guessing that she'd probably bring that to us maybe next week or something.
Do we have to meet, the three of us, and decide on executive session, or how does that work? What's the?
Yeah, she'll usually meet in the executive session.
Okay.
So I fully expect on maybe Monday, or I would guess Monday, she'll have something she wants to say to us.
Okay.
Thank you.
Same thing with the finance director?
I think once everybody's had a chance to do their interviews. Yeah, I think I think it always kind of hinges on us. Once we're done, they're ready to go, right?
Good.
Yeah,
Let's hope.
yeah. Okay, anything else? Okay, good. We will adjourn.